Hey, I just got back from lunch. Did you finish that report yet?
Well, not exactly. Still working on it. I'm not finished just yet. I got a little sidetracked, but I will get them to you first thing this afternoon.
It is first thing this afternoon.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, I am working on
But
it. I'll have
what do you mean that the report isn't finished yet?
I'm still in the process of working on it. I've just been a little distracted.
Distracted. Our meeting starts in an hour.
I can have it.
No. What were you doing? Were you listening to another hunting podcast again? I swear, I give the staff in this office the freedom to do whatever they want to do as long as they meet a deadline. That is the first bullet underneath your job description. Pays attention to detail and deadlines. And deadlines. With the emphasis of Dude, are you even listening to me right now?
Hey guys, if you're looking for a quality bow dealership near Newcastle, Pennsylvania, look no farther than Williams Archery down in Edinburgh, PA, just minutes west of the city. They offer Hoyt, PSE, Elite, Bear, and many more brands. Go check out their bow fishing equipment, or stop in for hands-on shooting lessons. Give Ron and Linda a call at 724-667-9660.
Welcome to episode 42 of the Whitetail Distraction Podcast. My name's Austin, and joining me in the Rack Shack in spirit because he's not here, Charles Headland. How you doing, buddy? Oh yeah, he's not here. Alright guys, well I'm going to keep this a little bit short of an intro, but today on the podcast we have John Royer of Leatherwood Outdoors. Now I personally am super excited for this one because Leatherwood has been a huge part of like the videos that I've watched on YouTube for like ever. I've watched them since like high school. They're just super cool dudes. They put out great videos, everything from fishing, hunting, every single thing that you can possibly think of, trapping, foraging for mushrooms, rattlesnake hunting. It just, they cover so many topics and they're so thorough with everything. And those guys, they're absolutely wild. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get them on the phone. All right, on the phone tonight on the podcast, we have John Royer from Leatherwood Outdoors. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad.
Sun's shining, man. I can't complain.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking time to come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
It's a busy time of the year for you, and I really do appreciate you coming on, and, you know, we're pretty big fans, so we look forward to this one.
Yeah, yep. Well, this is a busy time of year, not only with work, and I'm doing a lot of trying to make some hay with all the rain, but if I'm not making hay or anything else, I'm trying to find time to snake hunt.
Attaboy. Attaboy. I like it. Well, let's get right into the meat and potatoes, man. Why don't you tell us where you're from, who you are, what you do for a living, all that fun stuff.
Well, my name is John Royer, and I'm from southern Clarendon County, and I am self-employed at the moment. I run a farm, and I do some contract work out on some natural gas wells for my grandfather. I tend some wells. So I also have two YouTube channels, Leatherwood Outdoors and Leatherwood Outdoors 2. And so we put all of our hunting and fishing and trapping adventures in PA on those two channels. We also have some how-to videos into mushroom hunting and some cooking videos. And so it's just a group of friends and I who started this. We just wanted to be able to put our videos on a format where we can send the video to friends and family through just an email link. And when we first started, it was around 2008, 2009, and YouTube was just becoming pretty popular. The digital age was coming about, because when we first started, we were using VHS and mini DVD and little cassette tapes. And I figured out how to turn those into a digital format. And I said, hey, you guys want to film any hunts? I figured out how to edit them, and I'll create a YouTube channel, and we'll put them up on the YouTube channel, and we'll just do it all us guys that are from the same area, and we've been doing it the same ever since. Just a way to share our memories, and we're not out there trying to, get on TV, and we're not looking for sponsors. We're just a bunch of regular guys making home videos.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. We're big fans because we're from PA too, and
absolutely,
it's really relatable kind of stuff to us. So
yeah, I mean, really, we're only about an hour and a half away from one another as we sit right now, which is crazy. I would have never thought that, until we got to talk, and how relatable and a lot of your videos are, and I think that's why we naturally enjoy them so much. And we kind of get the same thing with the podcast. It's a lot of people that are from the local area or interested in this area, and I think that's what they gravitate to. So, that's one of the biggest reasons we love your channel, man. It's a lot of good stuff on there. You guys drop some really good content, and your editing's great. So,
oh, thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a lot of us guys. There's some guys that they're really good at what they do. We have traditional bow hunts. Shane and Ryan and Hunter, they're pretty good at that. They put out some recurve and some longbow videos, and they also do some trapping. And then I sort of got those guys into some snake hunting early on, so we got some snake hunting and then ice fishing. Almost anything in PA that you can do in the outdoors, hunting and fishing-wise, we pretty much have a video on it, maybe except for a really good bear hunt. But it's just some things are a little bit easier to film, where we may not have as many fishing videos. It's just a little bit harder to run the camera all the time, and somebody's got to be not fishing. Yeah, that's just the way it's been ever since.
That's awesome, man. And, I love that you guys kind of do like everything outdoors in PA. And it's kind of been this way for a while for me. If I'm looking to get into something new, like hunting, fishing, trapping, whatever in PA, I always run to your channel to see if you guys do it first so I can learn a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned too through just our group of guys. Some of the guys went recurve hunting for bullfrogs and never knew that was even possible, or never would have ever crossed my mind to do that. But it looked so much fun, and we made several videos of that, and got a lot of other people really interested in doing that type of stuff too. So it is a way to show off the outdoors and helping to get more people into the outdoors.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Totally. I couldn't agree with that anymore.
But let's take a step back. Let's go way back. We typically ask everyone this when they come on, and I'm interested as well. So did you grow up in PA, and then basically how you got into hunting maybe?
Yeah, I grew up in PA, right here. This is my hometown.
Okay.
And same way with all the other guys. We all went to the same high school, and pretty much all of us, our parents got us into hunting at a really young age. As soon as we could, even if we weren't hunting, if some of us, if we could pick up a bow or shoot a gun, we were shooting guns before we could hunt, just to target practice. So we were exposed at a really young age, and just sort of took to that. And as we, grew up in high school and got to know each other, and we realized, hey, you guys hunt. And then the same thing sort of happened with the video cameras. Like Shane Reed and Hunter Ruby, those guys were videotaping, and we knew them in school, but we weren't like real close friends or anything. And I had a friend, Charles Boozer, and we were trying to videotape a deer hunt, and those guys found out after I put up a video on the YouTube channel that I could edit some videos. So they came to me and said, hey, we have some videos we're filming ourselves, and we're doing the same thing, but we don't have anyone to edit. And I said, well, you bring your videos to me. We're all in the same area. We know each other. Shane and I played Little League on the same team on Little League. I said, you bring your stuff to me and I'll edit it, and we'll just put it all on one channel, and because we're all together. And that sort of brought all of us guys closer together. But now, as we're getting older, it's a little bit harder to find time to make videos and put out the videos like we used to in the past. But all of us still are all wanting to film. It's just now trying to find the time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we did before we got on the podcast, we actually threw a little shout out on Instagram, and I actually did a little thing on my story. I was asking if any of the listeners had any questions, and one guy actually came on, and he was wondering why you guys aren't putting out videos as often. I was like, well, they're busy,
Yep. That's the way it is. Now you may see me more often in the videos because I always carried the camera. Even before I ever had the channel, I carried a camera ever since I was a little kid. There's actually a video. If you look way back on the main channel, we were on the Red Bank Creek, my dad and I, and a guy that worked for my grandfather, and we were smallmouth bass fishing in a john boat going down the river, and a bear's crossing the creek in front of us. And I'm probably 5 years old. My dad's trying to run a video camera, and I think he can hear me saying, like, can I run a video camera? I'm not even interested in the bear. I just want to see the bear through the video camera. So sort of started with me at a young age, running with that video camera. And it just sort of grew in with with the other guys. But the other guys were used to filming each other. And so as time grew on, some of the guys got different jobs, moving away, having kids, getting married, things like that. And we don't have the time where two guys can, hunt an entire archery season together in the same tree. So some of the guys had to learn how to self-film, and found out that it's extremely hard. So that, coupled with, just trying to find time, makes it harder to make videos. And it's not, and we're not under any obligation to make videos. We just do this for fun. And so if somebody just decides they don't want to film anymore, that's cool, because it's all about just trying to make memories for ourselves for the future and for friends and family. So, some of the guys, they get busy and want to do other things. That's completely fine. And that's the way we want it to be. So you'll see people come, you'll see people go. You might see somebody that hasn't been on for a really long time all of a sudden pop up after a couple of years. So that's sort of the way it's been. And we never know how the future is going to go, because at one point in time, we were putting out a video, in the first, I think it was 2012 or 13, I can't remember. We put out, I think in the first week of archery season, we put out 4 or 5 deer kills in the first week.
Oh man.
It was just like every day somebody's calling me, I got a video to it. And then I'm trying to get them out as quick as possible. I'm not trying to wait 2 or 3 weeks to put that video out, because people want to see what's going on right now.
Absolutely.
And so that's another thing, trying to videotape all that stuff and trying to put out videos, it takes a lot of time. So that's one reason why you're not seeing as many videos. But yeah, you never know what the future is going to hold. We want to keep making videos as long as we can, but we don't know what the future holds.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. As long as you're still putting out that traditional flintlock video every year, I'm cool with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys can relate to that. Everyone's busy. Everybody works, to try to do what you do. And are you the only one that edits as well still?
Yeah, I do every single editing on every video.
Yeah, so, I know, because I'm real good friends with a lot of farmers, and I know how much work that is. That's a full-time, almost 24-hour job sometimes, especially with the weather. The weather has not been cooperating around here at all, especially for farmers. It's been really tough. So I can understand where it gets harder, and people's lives, they advance, like you said, people move off and things change. But I would say for as long as you guys have done it, you've stayed pretty well consistent. You've done a really well job, not only just forcing videos out there and cutting corners. You've taken the time, made quality videos, and it's a really good channel. It's a very enjoyable channel. I think everybody needs to go check out, because especially people in this area, it's something that you'll find a lot of enjoyment and a lot of relation to, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Yeah, and I think another thing to keep in mind is there is a thing called burnout.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. I've heard about it with some really big YouTubers that are making videos every single day, trying to pump out content, and then you just get burnt out.
Yeah.
So that's a real possibility, because we're literally filming first and foremost for ourselves, not for the viewers, not to try to get subscribers, not to try to get, ratings higher on our videos or anything like that, or how many likes we can get. First and foremost for ourselves. And so, if we just don't feel like taking the camera out and we just want to go and hunt without worrying about the camera, then I'm all about that. And I know for the viewers, they're expecting that. And sometimes, you want those people to see their hunt, and it's almost like you're leaving them, hanging when you stop making videos for a long time, because they think maybe something really happened, and really what happened was life. And so that's where, we want to keep making videos, but, at some point in time, some guys just want to take a break. Some guys like today, I just don't feel like carrying the camera. And, a lot of guys got into it because they really want to be part of something, but then they realized, oh, there's a lot of work to running a video camera just to make a decent video. Because there is some sacrifice in videoing. If you're going to sacrifice a deer hunt in a way that a deer could come into range, and you have your video camera, and if you want the shot, well, you have to wait for that deer to stop in the right place and hold that camera, and you have to, get your release on your bow, draw it back without the deer seeing you, and hope that deer doesn't move. And if it moves, then you don't take the shot. Or you do take the shot, and you have a shot on camera that's either down in the corner or off the screen completely.
Right.
Now, there's no right and wrong way of videotaping. Even if you just have the audio of the arrow hitting the deer, you should still be happy with that video because it's your video and you can always replay it. You're going to be so glad that you even recorded just a tree branch. Maybe it went out of focus or something. I've seen it happen. Maybe you forgot to now, forgetting to push record is another thing. It happens to all of us. But, that's another thing. If you want to make really, really good videos, you sort of have to sacrifice. And then if you're not really good at self-filming, then, if guys are wanting to create a YouTube channel, somebody has to sacrifice a day in a tree stand and videotape. And so that's part of going with the whole YouTube channel. But the thing is, we weren't doing it and looking at it as something that was work. It was when you love to do something, it doesn't seem like work. You know what I mean? It's like editing takes a lot of work and time to do, but I don't look at it as work because once I start editing, I get in the zone and it's like putting a puzzle and you can create it any way you want. You can make it look really, really good, or you can just throw everything on there and just leave it all and not do any cutting and editing. So you have control over how that video flows. And so I look at it as sometimes enjoyment, unless I'm trying to rush to get something edited and I have hay to get made or something like that. It's
right.
Like, I would rather do the video than take the hay, but it's like, I have to get the hay made. I can always wait for the video to get made.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I can't agree more with that. I mean, editing video is a lot different than editing audio. That's typically what we're doing, but it takes time and you're not getting paid for it and you better like it because if you don't like it, it's just going to be a pain in the butt. And, we like learning from people. We love talking to people and, it's almost like having a little bit of a part-time job doing this, but I love it, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, and I think you took the words out of my mouth when you said you were basically referring to not making it a job, You have to still enjoy it. So if you're not enjoying it, why are you doing it? And you said that you do this a lot for yourselves. So it's got to be something that you enjoy. It's got to be something you love, or why are you out there? Why are you even filming? So at that point, and it really stuck with me when you said that, because you don't want it to be a job. You don't want it to be a hassle, or and I really respect that you can put the camera down for a day or two and just go out and say, you know what, I'm just going to go enjoy myself. Just going to go hunt, back to the roots. Just go, forget the camera, forget the gear, forget the hassle. That's pretty cool.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. And I think that is a big problem on why we're not getting the youth into the hunting as we are, is because we have this mentality that from TV, even in our local schools, we have a big buck contest, not only in our town, but also in even elementary school. We have a big buck contest.
Now I'm jealous.
So you are sort of indoctrinating these kids. Not that those things are wrong.
Right.
But the kids start to think in a way that, oh, okay, so the only thing that's good is unless you shoot a big buck.
They make it a competition. Absolutely.
They make it a competition. And then when they go out and then they watch so much hunting, then they go into the real world and they don't see a deer. Guess what? They get cold. They get hungry. They got to go to the bathroom. They don't like this. They don't want to do this anymore. This isn't for me. Because we've not taught them the right way. They've been exposed to too many different things of what hunting is like until they get out there. And then it doesn't take long till they're frustrated. Like, I have been hunting for so long and I have not done this. And that's the problem. You're looking at it like you're trying to achieve a goal or trying to get somewhere, when really it's all about enjoying. And we have a lot of young kids that watch the show or the channel, and we get a lot of questions. What's the best advice for deer hunting? It's like, enjoy being in the woods, even if you don't see any deer, because it's all about just enjoying God's creation, being out in the woods. If you see a deer, that's a bonus. If you kill a deer, you hit the jackpot. And so just enjoy being out there. And that's the same way we have a lot of young guys that are asking us questions of how to get their YouTube channel or their Instagram page up. And, we don't have hardly any Instagram followers compared to some other guys that have been on there. We just recently joined Instagram, and we've got messages, how in the world do you have that many subscribers on YouTube and you don't even have 10,000, Instagram followers? And it's like, well, it's not about the numbers. We don't look at the numbers. And so, but a lot of people are like, how can I get my numbers up? How can I get viewers? How can I get subscribers? And it's like, when we first started, we never had that mentality. The only sort of mentality we had when we kind of first started was like, boy, that would be pretty cool if we got on TV. But we quickly realized what TV was about at that time. You got to remember, we're talking 10 years ago or more.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we're behind the camera, we see the TV hunting on TV, and it looks fake because a lot of it's scripted. So we sort of shied away from the TV hunting and the sponsors and trying to kill a deer and then naming all your sponsors like a NASCAR driver and just focusing on, just being happy with shooting a doe. And I think that was a really odd thing because kids are like, well, you guys are shooting doe and you're like having fun and high-fiving shooting a doe. Like I didn't know doe hunting. I thought you were only supposed to shoot bucks, like big bucks, and that's what the mentality was. And so I think we see that in relation with kids on YouTube channels trying to start is they want to be like the guys on TV, and they quickly realize that what they're wanting is somebody who either knew somebody or had so much hard work into it. And that hard work wasn't work. It was just fun. But a lot of people are working towards that. And we never tried to work. We just did what we loved to do and put it out there on YouTube, and it grew organically just through word of mouth. And now we have like Facebook, and we have a Facebook page, and we would post it there and share our photos and videos with others. But we're not trying to like advertise and just try to ramp our numbers up because we know next year none of us might even be able to hunt. Because we don't have the time. So it's all about just trying to have fun. And that's the number one goal for whatever you're doing, whether you're a deer hunter or trying to start a YouTube channel, have fun with it.
No, I couldn't agree more, man. And, we're always talking about on here getting new hunters involved, and whether it be kids or whether it be guys our own age that never really got into it and are interested, we're constantly trying to do that. And I think it's really interesting that you brought up the fact that you have a big buck contest around your area in school and elementary school and high school and whatnot. And it being about like the biggest buck and kids passing and getting bored and everything like that. I mean, it wasn't really like that around here. I mean, it was always kind of like, I don't know. My family was more like meat hunters, I should say. It wasn't really about big bucks. And, I kind of got into it. My first deer was a doe, and I was stoked. And like I took it in, pictures to school and everything, was showing everybody. And I was just all excited about that. And I've shot some bucks throughout my, I don't know if you want to call it a hunting career, but my hunting career, my life. Yeah. And, I choose to be a little bit more picky now on the bucks that I shoot, but, I still love shooting does. I still get jitters when does come in, and, it's still just as exciting to me as it ever has been.
Yeah. And if you think about it, like when we were in school, you'd get back you'd have the first day off, and then we would even take Tuesday off, and you get back and it was never asked, hey, did you get your buck? It was always, hey, did you get a deer?
Yeah.
I got a deer, look, and I had my Polaroid of me and my doe and my two doe, and, and that was like the coolest thing, sharing that with friends and the people at school, and it was never, ever had anything to do with antlers. Back then, it wasn't more of this trophy type area that they're trying to make it out to be. And when you first mentioned, like, hey, our school had this buck pull, and I initially was like, wow, I'm jealous. That sounds so cool, because to me, a buck pull with us was our local archery shop where, you would just go down and go see the pictures of people's deer that they killed down there. It was never really a competition. I didn't think of that, and I never related it. And then when you said it, it blew my mind, because I'm like, wow, this is actually could be a real negative thing for people getting into hunting.
Yep.
And going into, my goal first day in early season's always just see a deer. If I see a deer, that made my hunt.
Yeah.
You know, if I see a fox, that made my hunt. If I see an owl, that made my hunt. You know, that's the reason we go in the woods. That's why we're out there. You know, and
Right.
Sorry. And then number 2, I got to come up with this idea. We're going to put a patent on it, and the 3 of us are going to be richer than all hell. We're coming up with some hunting apparel where we're going to make it, and you're going to be able to take your sponsors' patches, and you're going to be able to attach them all over the hunting apparel.
Like a NASCAR driver.
Like a NASCAR driver. I can see it now. That'd be great.
Oh, man.
I had to end that on a funny note. I was getting a little too serious, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's with the Big Buck contest in my hometown, New Bethlehem. It's by weight only.
Oh, cool.
So the antlers have nothing to do with it.
That's
it's
awesome.
By body weight.
That is good, though.
I think they started with the antlers. I mean, this thing's been going on since the 50s or 60s.
Wow.
Every year. And I think it used to be whatever a ring could hang on a point. Next thing you know, every deer had 17 points because it had all these little nubs, and depending on how you held the antler, the ring could stay on. So they're like, okay, we're just doing it by weight. But in the elementary schools, it is by the size of the rack.
Okay.
Because they can't do the weight or anything. But yeah, it's just sort of not saying that every kid looks at it that way and grows up to think that way, but it's just I see a lot more just because I'm exposed to a lot of emails and messages, private messages from kids that watch the channel, and it's all about how can I get my YouTube channel, how can I get more subscribers, how can I get more views on my channel, and because that's what they're worried about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they need somebody to give them a like to feel satisfied in this life, or what they did was right. And really, you know, it makes it seem like if you went out in the woods and you came home empty-handed, like that's a shameful thing, and that should not be. And so, you know, that's one thing I can point. My highest viewed video is a flintlock video that I filmed in January, and it has 4.8 million views. It went viral, and I missed a deer. So you don't even have to kill a deer. You know, just go out there and have fun, and it just comes to you. And when people see that you're genuinely out there to enjoy being in the outdoors, you're not trying to win anybody over. You're not trying to clickbait and click title every single, you know, video that you're doing just to get views and subscribers. You know, that's where you're going to have the word of mouth just carry you along on your own, because people are going to like, you got to watch these guys and stuff like that. And that's what we get a lot of comments saying, hey, you guys would fit in right perfectly with our deer camp. You should come hunt with us. And we would love to hunt with everybody who asks, but most of the time we're only hunting with friends and family. And so that's all the more we have time to go out with.
I can't blame you, man. That's where you started. That's where you still are. And that's how we are, too. We hunt with friends and family, and that's it. And you have a blast doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And we make new friends. Through this, we make a lot of new friends, and, you know, there's a lot of new memories coming down the pipe here, hopefully. And, you know, I look forward to it. But,
Absolutely.
But you definitely do a wide range of different things on your YouTube channel. I want to know what your favorite outdoor activity is between all the things you do, all the crazy adventures you have.
Oh.
That's got to be tough.
That's a tough one for sure.
Because, I mean, you're out there ice fishing, you're rattlesnake hunting,
I would have to say, currently, I can't say this for all, because I would have to say, especially in the past 2 to 3 years, ice fishing.
Awesome.
Nice.
I got bit by the ice bug, and so did a friend of mine. You'll see him sometimes in some of the ice fishing videos. And it's just, I don't know what it is, but like when it's freezing cold, we want it to get super, super cold. Now, the thing is, an ice fisherman hates snow, so I don't want it to snow. I just want it to get super, super cold. And so it's just a different, it's just something different. Maybe it's because when I first got into ice fishing, I think it was 2004. Might have been 2003, somewhere around there, when I graduated high school, the first time I ever went ice fishing. And there was a big period of time right after I got into it, we didn't hardly have any ice. And I never kept up on the lakes and the ice conditions. And we don't have a lot of the stuff that we have today, like Facebook back then, where we could just go to a news report, and find out instantaneously what the ice is, because there's somebody with a phone on the ice checking the ice 24/7 at every lake you want to fish almost. But it was, several years ago, especially maybe a little bit further on, but especially these last couple of years, especially with the Western PA Hardwater Series, just being able to go out and be on the ice is something that you only get to do for a short period of time here in PA. And we're in PA, we're like right on the border, because once you start getting down into, the southern border of PA, that's where ice fishing is very, very rare and scarce, because it really has to get cold once you're down in below that area. But, we have from Erie, and then we have Pymatuning and Wilhelm and Arthur and Kale Lake.
Yeah.
There's so many different places, and the same thing, you meet so many people, and I've realized there's so many good people that ice fish. I've just had so many good experiences with ice fishing too. And then, you can take a grill out there and cook hot dogs and hamburgers and drink hot chocolate. It's just when everybody thinks there's absolutely nothing to do, deer season's completely over, and it's something where you can just sit. You don't really have to even, if you're good on a good hole, you don't even have to walk around, and you can bring a shanty and a buddy heater. So it's different than sitting in a deer blind. And you get on a good spot and catch a lot of fish, and it can be really fun. I've seen little kids having blast that are like 5 years old just catching fish. And so right now I would say that would have to be it, because I just couldn't find enough time to go ice fishing because the season is so short.
Yeah.
And we're so fortunate to get the amount of ice fishing tournaments in that we have been, which is, I've learned so much about ice fishing in the past 2 or 3 years that I just never thought I'd advance that far in ice fishing. When you start competing, you learn a lot, and there's so many good guys out there that'll help you.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you do seem like you're having a lot of fun. You're not running a whole bunch of tip-ups and stuff. You're sitting there right at the hole, and you're just plugging away, going at it. And
right. It's a different, when I first started, we didn't have flashers, so fish finders or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And we just we sort of fish like the Amish. And if you ever watch how the Amish fish, they don't use the fish finders or anything, but they're always good at catching fish. And they know where their spots are from memory. So when they find a good spot, you'll see them looking around. They'll find a tree on the horizon over there. And this is the way it is with old, good ice fishermen too. Because now it's the only guys that don't have ice fishing are like the really old guys out on the ice, because they don't really care to have that anymore. They're traveling light. But they'll find a tree on the horizon, and they'll find a telephone pole over here, and they're looking to the right, looking to the left, looking to the right, and they're looking at the bank, and they're using their internal GPS, looking at the features of the land to put them on the right spot. And that's how I used to fish, by trying to remembering exactly where we were as close as you could to the foot of where we fished last year.
Yep.
And remembering those things. And the reason why is because if you didn't hit that spot, you weren't going to find fish, and then it took you who knows how long to find another spot like that. Well, with sonar, and you just drop it down the hole, you can tell if there's fish or not, and you just move a hole, drill a hole somewhere else and keep moving. And we're like, this is the difference between not just catching some fish and a lot of fish. It was the difference between catching fish and not catching fish.
Right.
Because it just literally quadrupled the amount of fish that we were catching.
Yeah, what's nice about that, too, is you can go across the ice and see an old hole that hasn't completely frozen over, and you can just knock it out real quick, drop the flasher down in, see if it's marking any fish. If it's not, you just keep walking, and you can do that a lot. I've seen a lot of the Amish people do that as well. They'll hit one hole, and, and they'll start trying to fish there, and if they don't catch anything, they're immediately on to the next one, and they'll just work their way around the whole lake, all different spots that, like you said, they have in memory. And man, when that hit is on in ice fishing, there is no better thing. Yeah. I agree. It is unreal. I remember one time out in Moraine, we got into it right before dark, and we each had 3 poles up, and we caught some fish throughout the day, but right before dark, you literally couldn't keep one pole in the water. or
Yep.
one rod, whatever you want to
That's
call
the
it.
best time, right when that sun starts to hit the
Oh,
horizon. That's when the
My goodness,
real good bite comes on.
Yeah, they just took off. Next thing you know, we got a pile of fish behind us flopping on the ice, and you're bringing in just slabs. It is unbelievably fun. And to go back to what you said, that got me thinking that there definitely are a lot of good people out there that are ice fishing. I don't know if that's because you got to be pretty hardcore. You got to be a real outdoorsman to ice fish. Maybe that weans out a lot of the people that just go out in the warm sun and throw out a line, But you definitely run into some really good people out there on the ice, and they're not afraid to help. That's one thing that when you're out there and you're doing it, you don't be afraid to ask, because there's definitely guys. We were stopping at Moraine, the one spot, and before we even got out of our truck, this guy just walking his dog was like, yeah, they're really catching them. All you got to do is you walk all the way across this way. You come out about 20 yards off. That's where they were dropping the pine trees, the Christmas trees, he said, and you'll kill them. We went out there and caught a bunch of fish. I'm like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, you don't see that anywhere else. You're not going to pull into a hunting spot and another guy in the truck beside you be like, yeah, you know what? If you go just over that ridge there's going to be about 3 or 4 giant bucks I've been chasing all year. You just go right there and you'll kill a whole bunch of them.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Exactly.
It's just not.
Yeah, and guys, now when you're competitive fishing, there's guys that keep their secret spots.
I'm sure.
There's still some, tight-lipped. There's still some guys that keep some things tight-lipped, and we all do. But I mean, there's a difference with ice fishermen. One time, I took Shane Reed out first time ice fishing. We were going out. We were on Wilhelm, and these kids, I don't even remember seeing them because they come up to his side and said that they ran out of propane for their buddy heater, and if we could lend them a propane tank. And we said, yeah, a couple bucks here, go ahead. And it was like, it didn't seem like it was less than 20 minutes. We looked back and they were gone. And we looked at each other like, they just literally took our propane tank. They just came to see if we would give them one, and then they went back and then they left. And we just thought that was really, really strange. So anyways, we fished till like 3 o'clock in the morning. And so we're making a long trek back to the truck, and we're freezing. And we get back to the truck, and in the bed of my truck is a bucket of brand new fishing poles. And written on the ice on my windshield is "Thank you for the propane."
That is so cool.
And there was like $50 worth of brand new ice fishing rods. They just still had the tags on them. And, all the different, nothing crazy expensive, but just had to have been like, probably like, I can't remember how many there were. I think there was some other fishing line too that they threw in there too. But yeah, there was at least like 5 or 6 rods in there. And Shane didn't have any ice fishing gear because he was using mine. Yeah. So I said, "Here you go." And he's like, "This is crazy." That's the type of first experience that he had. He's like, "I really want to do this all the time now." And so, yep.
As long as weather will cooperate, man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of the tough part.
That's another thing. Just as when the ice comes and you experience stuff like that, it's a little bit different when you are in the blazing hot sun and come across a rattlesnake.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you got into that because you mentioned it at the beginning, and I was waiting to circle back into it because my buddy Sam and I were just out this past weekend doing some rattlesnake hunting in the blazing hot sun, and we were not very successful in the sense of finding snakes. And we were successful in the fact that we had an unbelievable time exploring some of the most beautiful terrain and I found a shed, my second shed I ever found, and seeing bear prints and everything else that we did. It was just unreal. But I want you to get into a little bit about rattlesnake hunting, maybe how you even got into rattlesnake hunting to start. Maybe that's a good place to start.
Well, how I got into it is a friend of mine and his uncle. We were up in around that area, and we were coming down off one of the hills, and my friend just happened to look into the culvert ditch, and he saw a timber rattlesnake. And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, there's 2 of them." And there was a male and a female. Or not a male and a female. There was a yellow face and a black face laying in the culvert ditch. And so he said, "Hey, people are hearing about rattlesnakes being close to the camp. Would you guys want to get your snake permit and go hunting the next year?" We're like, there's a snake license? Yeah. We didn't even know that even existed. And so we're like, yeah, we'll do that. So we got a couple friends the next year, and we really didn't know what we were doing. And we thought, well, where do you look for snakes? I don't know. We'll go up on top of the mountain like we did the last time and find a place where there's rocks and sun. And so we stop the truck. We get out of the truck, and there's like a little section of rocks, and around each rock there's a little bit of brush between each one. And I get out on the first rock, and I jump to the second rock, getting ready to jump on the third rock, and there's like a 45-inch blackface laying out right on that rock. Not curled up, just laying flat along. And like, I'm no more than 20 yards from the truck. And that was the first rattlesnake we ever found. And so we've been going up ever since and going to different places. And that was before the size and sex requirements and regulations put on the snakes. At that time, a rattlesnake was a rattlesnake. You could keep male, female, no matter what length or whatever. And so that's how we got started into it. And then a group of us guys, we sort of had the tradition of going up into that area every year. And we would hunt in the morning. We'd stop by the Cinemahoning Sportsman's Club for the snake roundup and just kind of see what kind of snakes were being brought in. And then we would go fishing in the evening and hit a native trout stream, because it wasn't all about just hunting from we didn't even get out at the crack of daylight. I mean, we got up, we had a big breakfast, we took our time, we were in no hurry to get out. And so we might have got on spot by like 9:30, 10 o'clock at our hunting spot. And that's, how our weekends would go. And we would do that for maybe the first and second weekend. And then throughout the season, we would basically some of us would go back up to the same spots, and we would hit the same spots a lot. And it was amazing how many snakes there were. But then it's like, after over the years, you keep so many snakes, because you're allowed one a year now. Well, it's been that way since I started hunting, and you have to go way further back. But anyways, one a year, and then being at 42 inches in length, and it's like, okay, now there's like this size requirement. We've found multiple 42s and 45s and 47s. It's like, let's see if we can hit that 50-inch mark. And so when we decided to start trying to find the biggest snake we could possibly find and letting those other legal snakes go, then we got into exploring new places, and it's like, why weren't we doing this to begin with? Because, yeah, we had a lot of fun just going out on the same places, but then it's like, we should have been exploring so many different places, whether we found snakes or not, because it's so much fun just to be in places that you've never been and see things that you've never seen. Not only the wildlife, you'll see big bucks and bears, like you said, maybe a bobcat or an elk comes out on the line, but also just rock outcroppings and the lay of the land and scenic vistas and stuff like that you would never be there if you weren't snake hunting. You would never walk through the heat of the day out through there in the woods and to see stuff like that. And we've gone on a lot of wild goose chases where you hear some guy, at the guy that's always at the local sportsman shop that, oh yeah, we heard there's big rattlesnakes down here. Go down here and check, Well, we would go down there and check, and, there's houses everywhere. Because we realized we should have looked on a map and looked and see exactly where this is first, because I don't think they're going to be building a housing development where there's rattlesnakes. Yeah, that's happened before, but it's like you have those experiences where then you realize when you hear somebody say, I've seen a rattlesnake here, you can start using a little bit of discernment and saying, okay, this person may not be in the wild as much as what they claim to be, and this place may not have rattlesnakes. So you do a lot of research and exploration on your own instead of taking other people's words for it. And once you find a really good spot and you see what the snake's like, then it's just sort of like anywhere you go. We've looked on a map and said, well, there might be snakes here, and drove 2 hours and found snakes there. Never went back, but it's just something fun to do. And we didn't know whether there was going to be snakes there or not. But once you start finding them, once you find them, and you'll start continually finding them, you'll be like, I did not realize there was this many snakes here. But that doesn't mean that you won't find that that doesn't mean that you're going to find snakes every time you go out.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like that with everything, whether you're deer hunting or you're fishing. You can't expect to get something every time. I mean, that's why they call it hunting. That's why they call it fishing, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, what do you really call rattlesnake? Because it's not really a hunting tag. It's technically with your fishing license. So are you fishing for rattlesnakes is all I want to know. But I'll tell you.
Mean, it's so funny, too, because now you can just go to Walmart and get your snake license.
That's what I did, yep.
And so before I was, you always had to mail it in. And it's so funny because I go to Walmart and the girl looks at me like, she seriously thinks I'm pulling a prank on her. And then she's like, you were serious. I can't believe it. I thought you were completely joking. And, it's just so foreign to a lot of people. There's so many people that don't even realize that there's rattlesnakes in Pennsylvania.
Yes. I've come to notice
elk.
that.
People don't believe that they don't even realize that there's elk. Our video from last year where I took some friends of mine from Pittsburgh out snake hunting. And so I put Pittsburgh in the title because they're from Pittsburgh. So the title was Pittsburgh Goes Rattlesnake Hunting. Now, there were so many people from the city that had no idea that there was rattlesnakes in Pennsylvania from that.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you watch that video, you can see, and that's what another thing we want to do with the videos is to teach people about the rattlesnakes. Not that we want to debunk the myth that every good snake is a dead rattlesnake, and that's not true because they do play a vital role. They're also a sign of pristine habitat and forests and stuff. So, when you see rattlesnakes, you're in a very wild place that hasn't been disturbed by people that much. But we want to show that they're not trying to attack you. They would rather get away the moment they realize that they're in danger. And, sometimes they don't rattle because they're trying to use their camouflage to hide from you. They're going to say, okay, I'm going to trust in my camouflage that you just don't see me, so I'm not going to rattle. That happens too, but that doesn't mean that they're wanting to come after you. And you'll see that in that video where they learn very quickly how skittish they are and hesitant they are in getting close to a snake. And by the second day, they're just walking over like it's nothing, like they've been doing it for years, just picking up a rattlesnake like it's nothing. And they're like, you're right. These things are completely not like what we thought. They're not going to come out and get you, and they're not going to, reach halfway up your body to bite you, because I've hardly ever seen one go up higher than my ankle when they bite, because it's almost you have to really be in there with the snake to get them to bite you. And so that I want people to learn that, you don't have to kill every single one that you see. It's not about trying to get rid of them. And, people try to swerve on the road to hit them when they're crossing the road. Because up in north central PA, you'll see that a lot. You'll see them getting hit on the road. But that, again, is a testament to how many snakes are actually out there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I've known that rattlesnakes have been around since I was little, fishing up on the Allegheny River and stuff like that. My uncle's always pointed out, stay away from these areas and stuff. You don't want to run into them or whatnot. But, you're actually kind of putting my mind at ease a little bit right now. I'm terrified of snakes. You noticed, I know you looked at our Instagram post and saw Charles out there. There was a reason why I wasn't there. I'm absolutely terrified of snakes. And, he was like, I'm going to go anyway. And I was like, well, is someone going with you? And he was like, yeah, Sam. I was like, oh, thank God, I don't got to go. Like,
yeah. We've actually got at least a couple guys out of the years we've been doing this that are just absolutely terrified of snakes to actually go with us. And, they're not going to be they got the snake-proof boots, even though they're not going to be anywhere near the brush, and they're going to be surrounded by like 5 other snake hunters and everything else. And you could see a difference. They're like, okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. We go with, there's a guy usually on opening day that goes with us, and he wants nothing to do with the snakes, but he comes with us in shorts and tennis shoes.
Oh, man.
Jeez.
Because when he first started with us, he was borrowing our chaps and everything because he's like, I'm not going anywhere near these things. But over the years, he still can't stand to be around the snakes. But he still likes to go on the adventure in looking for them. He still likes to see them, but he has a completely different mindset about the snakes than what he did when he first went. Because he was like, there's no way I'm getting anywhere close. But he still had this I don't know, like love-hate relationship. She's like, snakes are really cool, but like I'm really scared of them. And, so.
No, that makes total sense, man. That honestly, that really puts my mind at ease. I mean,
Yeah.
I have snake boots, and I mean, around here there are rattlesnakes, very, very few and far between. We actually, random fun rattlesnake fact, we live in a certain area of PA that actually is the only area in PA that houses our endangered species of rattlesnake, the eastern Masagua, which is strange enough. But I've actually seen one of those on one occasion, and it was absolutely crazy. They're real small. They're almost like a pygmy rattlesnake.
They're very small.
Yeah,
Very small, yeah. It was cool, though, but I was still terrified of it.
Yeah, I've only ever seen pictures of those.
Yeah. Yeah, the area we hunt it's actually like a protected area for those rattlesnakes. That's the reason, is because it potentially holds them. It's the right terrain or the right area to hold rattlesnakes, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my buddy Sam, he didn't know that those were around here.
Mm-hmm.
The Masaguas. He had no clue.
Most people don't even realize that we have an endangered snake in Pennsylvania.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, like John was just saying, most people don't even realize that we have rattlesnakes in general in Pennsylvania. So
that was the huge...
Yeah, and most people, when we first started hunting, the rattlesnake was on the candidate species it was a candidate for the endangered species.
Okay.
So basically, they wanted it. There's a lot of people that wanted it on the endangered species because they hated the fact that Roundup, or just the fact that somebody was illegally allowed to just touch the snake, bothered them. And
That's weird.
But I remember, I think it was after 2015, 16. I can't remember what video. Now I can't remember what video it was. The years go by so quick. But at the end of the video, I said in just a few hours of hunting, we saw over 40 snakes.
oh, man.
And it was the most snakes we ever seen on opening day. And we've been doing this for over 10 years and on the opening day. And yeah, because I've been doing it for almost around 15 years. So it was 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember. Maybe it was 2 years ago. But anyways, it was right after that video was put on. Not saying that my video has anything to do with what I'm about to say, but right after that video was posted, I saw on the news that they took the timber rattlesnake off the candidate species, and now it's no longer it's no longer endangered or candidate listed.
Okay.
So
That's
there's no
awesome.
listing for the Pennsylvania timber rattlesnake now. And
Awesome.
I think the reason why is it parallels with my video in the sense of, since I started snake hunting by putting a lot of the videos also on YouTube, the snake hunters in the state have at least quadrupled. I can't say for sure how many, but I know when we first started getting the snake license, it had a number on your permit. And it came in like the silver and gold old style deer hunting license still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it had the number in the top. And we were always trying to get number one. One of our guys he would send it in like January 1st, trying to get number one. Never could get number one. But some of the guys would get them late, and we were like, what's your number? And it'd be like 650, 700. And that was like the highest. Now, one of the guys got his license right before opening day, and he's like, yeah, I was like number 1200 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I heard another guy say, yeah, I got number 1500, I think it was. I can't remember. But
Jeez. Are they still numbered today?
There are so many more snake hunters than there was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And more than double. And almost every single person I've ever met on snake hunting out, because I've met some other snake hunters, there hasn't been a person yet that hasn't recognized me. So,
there's a reason for that, my man.
It's the cowboy hat.
yeah, they all know who I am when they see me, and that just shows that even with the amount of hunters, because the hunters are bringing the information to the Fish Commission, which then, they're biologists and stuff, they see, in the report card where the snakes are being caught, how many people are, where they're seeing them, how often they're seeing them, if they're being killed, kept alive, released. And the thing about why that system is working is because the report card is mandatory.
Yeah.
You have to send in a report card or it's an automatic citation. And so with the deer, they're like, it's a deer. It's not really technically anything that we're worried about being extinct anytime soon or anything like that. But for the rattlesnake, they started putting there's actually a check mark on the report card that says, I didn't even hunt. So if you didn't even hunt, you have to fill that out. So you have to send it in, regardless of whether you tag one or not, or if you even step foot outside to look for snakes. You have to send that in within 10 days after the end of the season. So all that information is going, and every single snake hunter is, well, I would say not every single one. I'm sure there's guys that get citations for not turning them in, but the majority of the guys are sending that information back.
Right.
And even if they don't fill because if a guy sees 500 snakes, he'd have to print out a booklet, and he's not going to remember everything. So, you fill out some snakes where you've seen your estimated lengths, things like that, any type of information, because that's going to go back to those people and they'll be like, okay, because the last thing, they don't know how many snakes are actually being taken.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as people are still taking certain sizes of snakes and still doing that, if they're not getting that many people seeing things, you never know. They could make a rule change where the length has to be longer, or maybe they'll restrict it into a drawing type license. You don't know what could be down the pipeline just because of lack of information. But we do know that we have an abundance of snakes, enough to the point where they felt confident to take them off the candidate species, even with the tremendous increase of hunters in the state. So that there alone is a testament. And at the same time, they have the universities around the state going to these historical den sites doing the Pennsylvania Rattlesnake Survey, where they're documenting all of the known dens and gestation sites that they can possibly find in the state. And then they can monitor those over long periods of time.
Yeah.
Because the rattlesnakes take forever to repopulate. But that doesn't mean that because they take a long time to repopulate in a certain area, doesn't mean that if they're doing very well, they can expand their territory wider. So, yeah.
Hey,
I think that's just really good news that saying that we have a lot of rattlesnakes in PA.
Absolutely, man.
It's not good news for Austin over there. I think he's shaking a little bit. Do they still number?
Give you confidence when the next time you guys go out.
I know.
Ooh, bummer. I guess you guys are going to have to stay tuned for part 2 of the episode. It continues to be a great episode, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. But a special thanks to John for coming on the podcast, taking time out of his night, and really just giving us an opportunity to pick his brain about snake hunting and everything else. Make sure you guys go over to YouTube and subscribe. Make sure you guys like some videos, watch some videos. I mean, they have so many things, so just go through their whole library and just watch them all. Also go over to Facebook and Instagram and give them a follow and a like on there. And if you guys could do us a huge favor and head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star review, that would be greatly appreciated. It helps us so much. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Go Wild, and Twitter at the Whitetail Distraction Podcast. You can also feel free to send us an email if you're feeling frisky. You don't have to, but you can. I'm here. All right, guys, until next week, the distraction is real. Enjoy your weekend.